See, you can only love out of strength. It takes strength to love. You got to speak with purpose. We think that our salvation is based on performance. God is not a man that he can lie. He don't lie. You be a vessel that God can work. Because somebody might need your holy prayer to save them when they...
Hi, Dr. Will again, and I'm here with part 2 of the series that we're doing called Keys to Enduring Wealth. And I want to start this conversation hooking up with our last conversation that we had in the last video text that I sent you with knowing that wealth and obtaining wealth is connected with knowledge, and how that you should have knowledge about whatever God has created you to endeavor to do, whatever blessings or vision that he's given you, and you're endeavoring to do it. You should also add to that desire, knowledge of the product or the business that you're going into. Well, this morning, as I was awakened, or as I was moving from sleep into consciousness, I believe the Spirit of God spoke to me and began to talk to me about a revelation that he has been sharing with me, that we've been discussing not only on the videos that we've been sending out, but also when I'm conducting meetings at our church. And it has to do with Genesis. It has to do with the first verses in Genesis. We discovered in the first verses of Genesis, this says, in the beginning, God. So we understand that God created the beginning that we are talking about. So if God created the beginning that we're talking about, God was before the beginning. We also discussed the fact that God is his title. Now, in the Hebrew Bible, he's called Elohim. In certain parts of the Bible, he's referred to Elohim. In other parts of the Bible, he's referred to Yahweh. And you'll notice that in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, you have reference to God. Now, in the English Bible, we don't see this. We just see him being referred to both in Genesis 1, chapter 1, and Genesis chapter 2 as God. But in the Hebrew Bible, he's referred to in Genesis chapter 1 as Elohim. He's God that transcends time. In Genesis chapter 2, he's referred to as Elohim. I'm sorry, Elohim. And he's Yahweh, not Elohim. Yahweh, I'm trying to make Elohim. He's referred to as Yahweh. And being referred to as Yahweh, he is speaking to man. He is coming in the cool of the day, and he is conversing with man. We have in that account, in Genesis chapter 1, you have God creating all things, and then on the last day, creating man. In Genesis chapter 2, you have God creating man and then surrounding man with all things. So you have two accounts of creation there, and I'm not really here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the fact that in Genesis chapter 1, in this chaotic situation, we have God bringing a message or speaking into chaos. And that what he does into chaos, he speaks creative words. And that's what God was dealing with me this morning, the Spirit of God. In your chaos, begin to speak creative words. Call those things that be not as though they were. In our last session, we talked about wealth is really a healthy relationship with God. Wealth is really knowing God and becoming intimate with God. And the more you know God, the more you know yourself, because in knowing God, God reveals to you his dream and his purpose for your life. So when life presents to you something that is contrary to the will and the purpose that God has revealed to you according to your life, you are to answer that chaos with a message of truth. You will know the truth, and that's God's purpose for your life, and the truth shall make you free. Now, what you do is you just don't sit quiet or regurgitate that thing that is coming against you. What you do is, because you know God, he's shown you your life and your purpose. And from this rich awareness of who you are, you answer those chaotic situations with creative words and speak the truth, and causes peace to come over that chaos, and the door open to your purpose. You need to know God, and you need to know yourself, and you need to know how to answer chaotic situations, not with complaining, not with worry, but with the word of truth, which is creative and forceful. You should talk and speak your desire during these times. Your desire gives you movement toward your destiny. So you need to lay a hold of that. So you need to have knowledge of what God has called you to be, who you are, and what God has anointed you to be and to do. Now, there's a lot of people who are not church have this principle. They are moved by their dreams, and they begin to speak the dream that just encompass their hearts, and they saturate themselves with dreams and plans, and they're so saturated with their dreams and their plans. That's all they see, that's all they listen to, and it creates movement toward that dream and that plan. That is a God-given gift. You don't need to go to church to get this. You need to embrace this as your own, because God is breathing into you your pattern and your design for who you are. Embrace it and move forward with all your strength and with all your might. So you'll find that the wealth is laid up for those who follow the dream that God has given them. Now, what is our advantage is that with this dream, there's no emptiness. We're not only because the dream and the things don't fulfill us, it's the relationship we have with God that causes us to be fulfilled. And the joy comes out when we are obedient and reflective of what God and who God has created us to be. That's enduring wealth. And so what I want to encourage you to do, begin to make some short-term plans, write them down, meditate on them. Get a library of pictures and stories that embrace what God has placed in your heart, and build an image inside of you and put yourself in that image and begin to hold on to that. And if anything appears in your life that is contrary to what you see, speak to that and cause that thing to go away. Just say, no, that's not me. I am what I am. I am gifted by God. I'm not working toward this. I'm not working toward wealth. I am wealthy, and I am creating in this sensory world what I am spiritually. And that is the word for you today. And I want you to take this word and begin to meditate on this word and apply it to your life. Well, we've come to the end of my time for this session, and we'll be back with some more information for you. Remember, God has plans for your life, and none of those plans include